Hey, what's up? It's Jim, and today I'm going to talk about Mystery Science Theater 3000, episode 1202, Atlantic Rim. Second episode of the season, second episode of the Gauntlet and season 2, if you want to call it that, even though it's season 12. And their first Mockbuster, who are made by Asylum, or The Asylum, the production company that makes kind of cheap knockoffs of major blockbusters. This new season seems to want to do more of what the newer crowd of people who are getting into movies that are so bad they're good, or just bad movies, and wanting to go into that, versus what the show originally did, which was kind of bad movies from that previous generation or those writers, or basically just do more modern bad movies. And Mac and Me was one. And this one, which is really new, I think the first one they've done from this millennium, right? This is the first one they've done from the new millennium ever on Mystery Science Theater, which is interesting. That just hit me. I didn't realize that until I looked it up. The first episode of any season of Mystery Science Theater, especially if you're a big fan, has a lot to live up to. You have to get used to certain things. The second episode, I usually get into more, at least with this crop. I've noticed the previous ones I just get into it, but although Reptilicus was like, I did have fun with Reptilicus. Mac and Me was a little rough. I got into that in that review and my experience with watching it. But Atlantic Rim, I had a really good time with. And I, again, was apprehensive about this one also because it is a mockbuster. They're also the people who make Sharknado, or all the Sharknado movies. It is, I guess, considered more of a Riff Tracks thing, and it feels like Mystery Science Theater is going more into Riff Tracks territory, which is a weird thing to say since all those guys were from Mystery Science Theater, but I guess because Riff Tracks is more known for the modern movie and Mystery Science Theater is more known for the older movie, but I think things need to adapt and so forth. I think this was a perfect way to do it. Atlantic Rim is a terrible movie, and Jonah and the bots were ready to go through it. And I had never seen Atlantic Rim. I'd seen Pacific Rim and Pacific Rim Uprising. And they had fun with it, other than not referencing Treach from Naughty by Nature or any of his songs, which I thought was a bit of a bad idea. Or if they did, I missed that. I feel like it, I kept thinking, like, is it in there and I missed it? Like, there was no OPP jokes or like Hear Me Flow Now. I just think Hear Me Flow Now is an awesome song. They should have done that. But I feel like this was like perfect for them in that it's like the Mockbusters and Asylum, as long as they don't do Sharknado, there's like a lot of movies there and they're all pretty bad from my understanding, and I think they could have like a lot of fun with that. And this one just shows like the wealth of direct-to-DVD video on demandness in the negative sense. There's good movies on video on demand, but Atlantic Rim is not one of them, and what Asylum makes is not part of anything good. And I think this was a good one to pick because it's like, right when you hear Atlantic Rim, you know it's a ripoff. I like what they're doing with the Gauntlet idea of they're really obviously promoting like, please binge this, please binge it all at once, and so forth. Okay, I get it. That's what Netflix wants. It's a hard show to binge, but I think when you have 6, it's like maybe doable. And this is like very much promoting that through the whole Gauntlet idea, and Kinga's like head bob Gauntlet thing. I can't do that. But I like this one, especially all the skits were good, from the invention exchange with the organ of the dancing like car, what was it, inflatable guys, the car lot inflatable guys. That was funny. And they did a Patrick Swayze Christmas with that, with the book suppository thing from TV Son of TV's Frank, which was funny. Them being drunk at a party was funny. Them trying to do a song again was kind of funny. The pouring out to all the people they lost thing was a good bit. All the skits were actually really good, and Rob Schraub, who is the director with Joel Hodgson, I think has done a good job. I didn't mention him last time, but I've noticed the looseness. There's definitely a more loose, laid back vibe in these episodes, which I actually like. I find it actually very watchable, these episodes. I still haven't seen the episode from this season that really hit it out of the park, and I feel like the beginning of season 11 or the season 1 or whatever of The Return, Reptilicus wasn't my favorite Mystery Science Theater episode ever or anything, but it had Every Country Loves a Monster, which they reference how that was. They'll never probably do that again. But then Cry Wilderness was like one of my favorite episodes of all time. Like, you know, it's on my all-time list. There are some really decent episodes in that run. I think this is a very good episode. I don't think it's a classic. So I think getting into the season's been a little like, I haven't fallen in love with this season as quickly, I guess. I still enjoyed this episode a lot. I found myself laughing quite a bit. I even like when, I think it's Servo. It sounds like a Baron Vaughn joke. I probably give Baron Vaughn too much credit, so I apologize, because I just think he's cool. The joke where he's like, did Pacific Rim Uprising rip off Atlantic Rim? Which I was like, yeah, maybe. Another thing I like about this movie choice is it's not like picking The Room or Birdemic or one of the bigger ones. Birdemic's probably not as big anymore, but it's not the same as picking those because again, like, this isn't as known, so it's like in that era feels like one of those movies, but you know, I also feel like, you know, I would love for them to do a Top of the Fourth Wall also, but whatever. Top of the Fourth Wall would probably let them do it. I like seeing Growler was in this a lot, as well as M. Waverly, but I feel like Growler is becoming like almost part of the cast up in the Satellite of Love. They did some really funny, like, I don't know, a lot of the jokes like at the production were actually really funny, and this is such a ridiculous like assortment of cast, like Treach and Graham Greene and the one lead guy who's on like Baywatch or something, and I think you can play off that so well. I did like the riff where it was like the Pacific Rim Uprising thing, that ongoing bit where the guy with the eye patch kept calling and they said like, oh, I love you, oh, why does he always hang up before he can say it? I felt they're very on point. Like, this got me more into it. It was exciting seeing an Asylum film. I've heard a lot about the Asylum films. I probably read about this coming out like years ago, but you know, who's gonna remember that? And I felt like they had a lot of fun with a movie that clearly was just made really quickly. There is actually a sequel that was released this year called Atlantic Rim Resurrection, which I actually think they should do. I think they should come back to the Atlantic Rim franchise. I actually think I like this episode more than I like the Pacific Rim sequel, which was ultimately fairly disappointing. Them doing Giant Monsters is prime Mystery Science Theater ground, and I feel like they did a very good job of bouncing off of that from them. Server only flew up once, I guess, but they made that Tool joke when it was in the thing. Man, I'm not good at just remembering every, you know, joke I laughed at, but kind of just enjoying the episode. But this was a very enjoyable one. I would recommend this over Mac and Me, but I feel like Mac and Me is too tempting, so you're just going to go to that. And Atlantic Rim's probably the next tempting, because you automatically know, if you know about Asylum and the Mockbuster, you're like, oh, I know what this is. I'm watching this. I'm curious to see them get more into it. Oh, the director played... Who's Spitfire? Oh yeah, I'm just seeing this. Hold on. Is the guy that directed it the guy with the eye patch? Oh my god. Hold on. The guy who directed this and Atlantic Rim Resurrection is the guy with the eye patch. Okay. Of course. Of course. I like the season so far. I'm not as in love with it as I'm on the second episode. It was a really good episode. I'd say really good. I'd say it's beyond good. It was a really good episode. I had fun with it. It was kind of a memorable, sort of fun B movie, and one I normally probably wouldn't see, which is also sort of something I like about Mystery Science Theater when they do that. I would recommend this episode probably over Mac and Me, just because it felt more fun. They felt like they were really getting into it, and I'm curious, like, if as the season goes on, you're going to see them kind of degrade after, like, to do this all in one day. I mean, that's like, it's like a work day or something, you know? Like, at one point, are they going to get groggy after lunch or something like that? I don't know. This gives me more hope for the rest of the season as we continue on through the gauntlet. So if you have seen Mystery Science Theater 3000 episode 1202, Atlantic Rim, and you would like to talk about it, then comment below in the comments and subscribe if you would like to.